I want to make this very clear. These are very, very dumb arguments, but it is June 16th, and this is what we're supposed
Not June 16th.
It's June 18th, isn't it?
Sorry.
It was close.
This is the Buffalo Plus Podcast, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus Podcast, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. You know how much we appreciate it. All right, this episode, Chris Sims releasing his quarterback rankings. We're going to talk a little bit about it. Our take, what we assess of that. Credit to me as well. We'll have some fun talking about training camp, all that. But do we want to start with camp? Do we want to end with camp?
Let's start with camp. Why not?
All right. So
they just announced it, the exact dates coming up at camp.
Yeah. And we know, obviously, we are here in the Rochester area, what camp means to this area, what it means to Western New York in general. And just, are you surprised at the dates? To me, I was like, those are the dates. And that is how it goes.
So I'm looking at this and I'm going, I'm looking back at a report that was like 4 months ago. Oh, that was my report that said,
wow. Credit to you.
Credit to me.
That was a Dan Fates.
Yeah.
Camp was going to be back at Fisher.
So, Mike, when you pat yourself on the back, usually I go right hand.
You are the pro.
Yeah.
So I will follow what you say. We said this is what it was going to be. It's very, very similar to past years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have to say this every year. They like coming to Fisher for training camp.
Yes.
Josh loves it. He couldn't wait to talk about it at mini camp. He's like, I'm excited to get down there in the dorms. I mean, the man loves the dorms.
Is that how Josh talks?
He's down there.
I can't wait.
Catan.
Yeah.
He loves it. And McDermott thinks it's great for them. They have that vibe of the amount of time, the amount of practices, and the amount of golf at Oak Hill. That's all the things that work out for him.
Semantically, first practice, July 23rd, 10 practices open to the public. Last practice, August 7th. The red and blue scrimmage, August 1st.
That Friday night.
So that's just kind of some housekeeping there.
And the tickets, it's a pain. We tell our families, just sign up for it. I don't get tickets. You guys don't get tickets.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't get anything.
Yeah, I think
super
people
fast.
think we get a lot.
Yeah. Shout out to Warren for the Amerks.
Yes.
And shout out to
Matt for Red Wings.
or Maury.
Yeah.
Like those
yeah.
guys. If you guys need tickets to Amerks or Red Wings games, we got you.
We can hook you up.
Sabres, Amerks, Sabres or Bills, no point.
No, we don't get them. And they go super fast. So there's a lottery. You sign up. I don't remember if they did this before, but you pick your 3 favorite dates.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's good. What's bad at camp sometimes is you show up later in camp and it's maybe not packed because some people who had tickets already, maybe they run into something, they don't go. It's a shame other people would have wanted those tickets.
Yeah.
So maybe this will spread it out a little better.
I think what you do if you're trying to get tickets for camp is you pick not the first day, not the last day, like kind of some random days if you can work that into your schedule, because obviously those are the days that are super popular. So if you kind of try and pick your spots, and a reminder, it's a lottery. So you have to put in your information, go through the Bills website, all that stuff.
Yeah. And our practices are all 9:45 in the morning, except that one Sunday after the scrimmage, the 2 days after the scrimmage, I think it's at 11:15. So, you'll have to get up to get out here early, but it makes it way better for the fans, way better for the players to be early morning.
Marges, Pittsford Dairy.
Yep.
If you haven't been to the Rochester area, feel free to drop a comment, some suggestions, other people that have gone to camp. What's your favorite part, places to go around the area? Obviously, this is our backyard.
Yeah.
Literally, hopefully to have Brandon Bean back in Mike's backyard again.
Yeah. Bean loved it. He loved being there. He loved walking over. We did the interview last year. Going to try to make this a yearly thing. So we see, get the logistics set up and get him to walk over. He could bring Josh with him if he wants.
He could.
Yeah.
It's possible. He does know him.
He does.
He could.
He's in the building.
He is.
He's in the building.
We will be in the building.
We will be in this building.
Yes.
So
also Hard Knocks too. What do you expect?
Sprinkler shot.
Oh yeah.
There'll be St. John Fisher, and then there'll be the sprinkler, and then there'll be Hut, and I think Bobby Babich will be the star.
Yeah.
I think Babich is going to be the star. I was talking to one of the Bills PR guys, and he's like, he doesn't shy away from the camera to begin with.
Yeah.
And then usually Hard Knocks, even Hard Knocks, like with the Lions, it wasn't all about Dan Campbell. Like you grew to know the other.
Aaron Glenn was one of them.
Right.
Big.
Yeah. So I think this is a big moment for Bobby Babich. Not that he's going to yuck it up for the camera, but just the fact that he will be the most noticeable person voice-wise. And Boris, you've talked about the tight end coach.
Oh, yeah. He's very vocal
Boris,
with the players, with his own players. He's
Rob
really,
Boris.
yeah.
It's like,
I was
going to
say
Boris?
I was going to say Scott Boris, and that is not it.
No. The other thing was I happened to put on NFL Network this morning, and they had the Bears Hard Knocks. And I was watching, and Ryan Poles, another general manager we know. Yeah, we know them all.
Canandaigua native.
And they were talking in the room, in the building, about the players and who stood out when it came time for the cuts. And I was putting Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott and those guys in that spot. They didn't give up too much, but they actually talked about some of the players. Like you would hear things like that we wouldn't normally hear. And sometimes they won't tell us when it's like, this kid has done everything we've asked him to do. He can help us now, later. He's got great speed.
Yeah.
Like little things like that sometimes, because they said, wow, last year he didn't do any of this. So that could be a player that we aren't as connected with.
Right.
That all of a sudden this year comes in and they're like, wow, like he's a different guy this year. And they notice it. This is right before they start making those moves. So I'll be fascinated to see how much Beane gives him.
Yeah.
I also I'm going to have to let Renee know, like my job is going to have to be to watch TV like this. Like I have our job. Cause like you said, there is going to be stuff that we don't have access to because we are not in the building that we are going to see from cameras that are
no doubt
inside the building. So like that will be kind of cool to literally be asking Sean and Brandon and players like, hey, this is what the coaches said about you. This is what you're saying about players. I think that's the interesting dynamic because in training camp, for the most part, we do get a ton of access. It is, you find those training camp darlings, those stories, the guys trying to make the team, all of this stuff, but it's even going to be peeled back even a little more this year because of all of the addedness.
Do you think you said training camp darlings, which happens every season, but do you think there's a Hard Knocks darling other than Bobby Babich, like one of the players to you that you're like, I could see this guy really getting a storyline and maybe someone you're not expecting?
No, I think this is an expected one. Your guy, Ray Davis.
Yeah.
That's a layup.
Especially whatever's going on with James.
It's so true.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whatever's going on with Cook, enter Ray Davis. They tell in any form, tell his story. It's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it online, award winner from Jenna Cottrell. She did a story on Ray.
She will be changing her Twitter bio shortly.
No. I want to thank Ray though, because if you don't know his backstory, the journey for the NFL for every player looks different, but Ray Davis is incredible. Was in and out of foster care. He went through multiple times being homeless throughout his childhood, ended up playing on a football team, and one of his teammates' mothers kind of took him in and ushered him in, and kind of from there he was able to play in college and just the mentorship and that. So really incredible story. And shout out him for letting me tell the story, because that's personal stuff.
And he came up and congratulated you for the
which
story.
was very nice.
He's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
A lot of players have had tough things happen in their lives, and some are really, and you wonder. His just was for a long period of time.
Yeah.
You know, in that part, and to make it. So when I look at a guy like that, if I'm the people at Hard Knocks, especially with the James Cook situation, it's almost perfect. And Ray's got a great personality.
Oh my
too.
gosh, yeah.
So he would be good.
Frank Gore Jr. could be a sneaky good story.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously,
Senior might show up too.
When seniors there, I think that's a compelling story. Because it's those fringe guys. It's those guys that could pop at a practice or pop in a preseason game, and those kind of galvanize attention. So I think that could be one as well.
And I do think Joe Andreessen.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that they want that hometown connection, what that means for him. And honestly, he's obviously been on the team before. What's that going to be like, him once again being back at camp?
And I really hope, for the Bills' sake, that the James Cook situation is not a distraction in any way.
1,000%, yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I really want Hard Knocks to highlight all the good things from this franchise. You know, you guys didn't live as much of it as I did. Yeah. And I maybe you guys still like it. I've never really liked the whole breaking tables. That's Bills fans. I think Bills fans
Agreed.
are way, way more than that. I think it's fine for a little bit, but they do great things. There's all this stuff about
Yeah.
Bills fans, Bills Mafia. That's what I want to see highlight. There's nobody jumping through tables at
Yeah.
St. John Fisher. I want to see all those things. I'm not saying they're going to get on the James Cook thing and it's going to be every moment, because I don't think the team would allow that. They're going to say, hey, you're going to have a show, you're going to have a moment, but it can't be the whole thing. There's so many positives with this team, including the quarterback. I'd like to see that highlighted.
And going off that, Mike, I think Bills, it's not your phone. If you're at home, it's not your phone. It's Catalana's. Just for those people that are wondering. Are you all right?
Yeah. Well, I never turned the sound up, but I was out for like 2 days.
Yes. You're playing her.
sick.
Yeah.
And so because I think I would have slept through everything.
I think your point about like Bills Mafia and the table breaking and the tailgating, I think the tailgating is still well documented as one of the best environments in the NFL. I think Bills Mafia honestly is known now more for their charity.
Yeah.
To say their heart. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it seems like anything happens, they're donating to charities for opposing teams, opposing players. It's just kind of cool to see that aspect be highlighted more than drunk fans jumping through a table on fire, as the team is no longer the laughing stock of the league. They're a great team. Also, their fans are passionate, diehard, and they're also giving their hard-earned money to great causes.
I'm just so excited for our area to get some shine.
Yeah.
Like Western New York just in general. And you talk about like the fan base and how passionate they are, but how much heart, how much they're willing to do good things for other fan bases, just like what they bring to football fandom. I think it's just going to be really cool. And I know obviously the Bills haven't been on Hard Knocks before, but to just have this opportunity and also have it be right here in our area in Rochester is just, I don't know. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Although, I'm going to be honest, guys.
Be honest.
I'm stressed about what to wear. I feel like every fit has got to be good.
Just
Usually
go
a couple days of camp, you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Same.
See,
The
men, we
same.
could wear the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody
You
would care.
don't want, you're not going to like step up your shoe game or anything?
They're not going to show his shoes, are they?
All right, whatever.
I don't know. I could be that sprinkler shot. I'd want my Jordans to be walking through.
You want crispy Jordans.
Kat, you all right?
Yeah, I was just looking for something because I just wanted to make sure something. I love the voice of Hard Knocks, Liv Schreiber.
Yes.
You know who he is.
Yeah.
Vikings guy.
Vikings.
Oh, no, that's the announcer.
Yes. Yes.
You all right, man?
I'm fine.
Okay.
No, I'm looking up. I want to make sure I've got the show. He's Ray Donovan. Oh my God, I couldn't remember. Incredible show.
Okay.
Ray Donovan, old school, beats the hell out of people all the time.
Oh, yes. He
yeah.
was in The Perfect Couple too.
Yeah, you got me on that.
That's a
one.
good show.
But his voice is...
Hey, let's reel this one back in, guys.
No, he's the voice of Hard Knocks. He's the guy you hear talking. So
That
the
is
guy who will say right as the sprinklers go off.
Yes.
It's a beautiful morning in
Pittsburgh,
New York.
Book it. All right, let's talk a little bit about quarterback rankings because do you think this was baiting? All right, so Chris Sims released his quarterback rankings. He had Jalen Hurts at number 10. In terms of his top 4, it went Lamar at number 1, Josh at number 2, Burrow at number 3, and Patrick Mahomes at number 4.
So you buried the lead there. He had Mahomes at 4. And that's what got the attention of everybody. The idea that you would rank somebody ahead of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And listen, Chris Sims, we've talked to him multiple times.
Every year we see him at the combine, and you always feel like you have to reintroduce yourself. And he's like, yeah, man, how's it going? Good to see you again.
And he gives us a lot of time.
Yeah.
He loves Lamar. He loves Josh. He loves Burrow. And he loves Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
And he says these guys are separate from everybody. I don't disagree with them at all. I think they have separated themselves, those 4. The idea that you have somebody ahead of Mahomes from a person like this who has ranked him as his number 1 quarterback for all these years, do you find that surprising?
Well, in defense of Chris Sims, here is what he had to say about ranking Patrick Mahomes 4th overall.
So, yes, the man, the myth, the legend, one of the greatest I've ever seen, and all that, and maybe the clutchest quarterback in football still, I understand that. The quarterback play week in, week out, and I don't think he would disagree with me here, has not been as high level, right, the past 2 seasons as Burrow, Lamar, or Josh Allen.
Your take on that?
I want to say this. I want to make this very clear. These are very, very dumb arguments, but it is June 16th, and this is what we're supposed to.
Not June 16th.
It's June 18th, isn't it?
Sorry, I just.
I was close. I was close.
That was a difference without a distinction. Isn't that what they say?
Oh,
I have
I've
no
never
idea.
heard that.
I have a lot of things rattling around in his head.
It's a lot of empty space with the rattle. Is that what you mean? I'm kidding.
But I think this is like Sims does this every year. And sometimes it's surprising. And I also think you have to understand, and like the point of this argument is who's playing the best and who has the best resume. I think that's the interesting distinction between that.
He separated those two, really, because obviously
Also not your phone.
Mahomes has the best resume.
Yeah.
It's not even a consideration
Correct.
of anybody that's playing.
But I don't think anybody watched the NFL last season and thought he's the best quarterback this year.
That was the point that Sims was making.
Yeah.
And where Josh falls in that category, it was interesting to me to have him have Lamar ahead of him. He loves Lamar. I don't know where you would rank Josh with Lamar. In his case, again, we're taking out the results because that's the guy Josh has the advantage on. He's beaten him twice in the playoffs, gone to the AFC Championship game twice by beating the Ravens. But it is kind of wild. Now, if you're a Chiefs fan, you're going, no, Mahomes is the best. You have every right to say that. He has been the best. His resume, his stats leading up to these last couple of years were off the charts. What do you have? 51 touchdowns the one year?
Crazy.
Like crazy good. It's about playing the position of quarterback because I would go back years before. Josh, when Jim Kelly was playing against Dan Marino, same division. Kelly beat him all the time, beat him in the playoffs, beat him in the championship game in Miami. I don't think anybody at that time was saying Dan Marino wasn't the better quarterback. I don't think we were as locked in as much now as it's results driven, that wins and losses is a quarterback stat and it's so results driven. But it does open up a little bit to say Mahomes has not been as dominant as he was for those other years. He's still been good. His team has been good around him. I mean, they went, 18-2 last year?
Yep.
Made the Super Bowl for a third straight time. It's crazy good. But I think I would agree with Sims. The specific play on the field, what a quarterback does, I think these guys were a little better than him last year. But, of course, when he gets in the playoffs, he always seems to make a play.
Yeah, it's so tough because I think about what it goes back to. We've rehashed it 100 times, and it's also the MVP. It's like what Lamar has and what he's working with, and also what Josh is working with or worked with last year. Because I think Josh has had better years statistically. Josh has had better moments, but what he did last year really solidified. It was the lack of turnovers. It was that game manager aspect that he had while also being the Superman of jumping over players. It was all of that combined into one, and the clutch moments and all of that into it. So it's tough. Like when the Bills went into that AFC Championship game, I thought the Bills actually had the better quarterback. And so like it's not like, I know there'll be Chiefs fans that will somehow end up on this podcast and will comment in, and like, you're right. Like it's like when Patriots fans would argue for all these years. It's like, well, you got it. You've done it. Like, we get it, dude. It's not about that. It's the fact of the matter is that like Josh getting his first MVP though, I think does elevate him with the resume. Like Lamar has 2 of them. Like, so it goes back to all of those things, wins and losses, stats, accolades, all of that stuff goes into where it is on top of who's playing the best. Cause I would have had the argument of like, Burrow was unbelievable last year too.
Right.
And what he should have been to the MVP conversation. It got lost with how poor their defense was, which is not his fault, which Josh has been a victim of as well.
Absolutely. I mean, look at now, Lamar made a couple of mistakes in that game against the Bills, but then he drove his team at the
I would
end.
say.
Andrews drops the ball, got the ball knocked out before him. You know, when we talk about narratives for MVP, I think there's a really good Mahomes narrative this year. He hasn't won it since 22, I think it was. So
You think so?
I think there is, because I think he's going to put up some stats this year. I think they're going to throw the ball more this year. I think they're going to try to open it up, especially if Rashee Rice is healthy.
Mhm.
Like, they've got some speed on that team offensively.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to want to throw the ball a little bit more.
Does
and I
the-
think
The pendulum of the Mahomes fatigue swing back?
a little bit, even though they're
Because I
going,
think that was part of it.
they're
I'm
trying to go.
Not for Jenna.
Yeah.
But
No,
they're
no, no.
trying to go to a Super Bowl. That's the thing. Everybody's got to. The Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls. This cannot happen this year. Cannot happen to have
What?
the Chiefs go for
yeah.
the 4th. The
Can-
Bills, at least the Bills own that. No one else has that. The Chiefs have a chance for that, even though they lost. I mean, the Bills lost all of them. They have a chance for their 4th straight Super Bowl.
No, I was just thinking about this today, and this is a little off topic, but we're in the trust tree. We're in the trust tree.
Yeah.
These guys.
Okay.
There's not 38,000 people that subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Trust tree. I'm so scared that the Bills, like, we're 8 years. This is going to be Josh's 8th season. And I'm really scared because they haven't even got to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That is my fear. That is my fear, is like, we're 8 years in and this team has always been knocking at the door. Obviously, last year they lost in the AFC Championship game. They've been and lost in the AFC Championship game before, but I think they're going to win. I do, but I just have, again, trust tree. I'm just scared that it's not going to come together.
So we talk about those 4 guys. Burrow made it once. That's it.
I mean, these guys are all in the AFC.
Right.
Like,
the
that's
top 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah. Like,
Josh.
That's the worst thing that ever happened to Josh, was being drafted to the AFC.
Well, I mean,
Like,
you
you
look
know-
at it and you say, he just said, and they are the 4 best quarterbacks. Burrow made it once. Give them all the credit. Beat the Bills, beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. Like,
Yep.
that was awesome for them. Hasn't gone great since then, but Burrow is still very, very good with very good weapons, but he's a great quarterback. But you think about those 3 guys, because I say to you, back in that time when, Dan Marino made it second year and people were like, this guy's throwing 50 touchdown passes back then.
Yeah.
Never made it back again. Made it the one time. Jim made it 4 times. I mean, you just don't know how it's going to play out, but
You only got to make it once. Like,
well,
you-
yeah, to
you-
win. Yeah.
you-
But
I'm
I'm
gonna
just
say,
saying,
like-
that is, and that's why I think sometimes people, I had someone in the grocery store in Wegmans be like, you're so obsessed with them having weapons for Josh Allen. And I'm like, weapon on either side of the ball, whatever. But I'm just like, I'm afraid that
you are
it's
right.
not gonna, and that's my
Not going to
fear.
happen. Well, you're right. So what I would say to them is, a nice Sunday night game in September or Thursday night game, and they're scoring 28, 30 points against somebody and roll into the win, everything looks good. It's January, Buffalo, Kansas City, down 3. Those moments.
You need a dog
You need a
other
dude.
than Josh Allen.
Man, I told Dan very quickly when I happened to see the highlights of the perfect game against the Patriots. I know the Bills' offense statistically was the best in team history, but man, that team was exciting, swinging the ball around, everybody making plays. Dawson Knox had an awesome game
Yeah.
in that game. 2 touchdowns, 89 yards, running over people.
89 yards. A Bills tight end had 89 yards in
Yeah.
a game.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And Josh was perfect in that game. So the total numbers didn't add up, but man, that team could just embarrass Bill Belichick. So
That was
he's had those
wild.
moments.
Were
Yeah.
you at that game?
Yep.
And you were at that game.
Yeah.
That
mean-
was crazy cold.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the comically cold game. That was like 0. And Josh talks about his Tootsies and that his Tootsies get cold.
Yeah.
But that was also because earlier in that year was the wind game.
Yes.
And that was windy and comical for that Monday night game, but it wasn't.
Oh,
it was the rematch in that one.
When Sean got asked after the windy game about not being able to keep up with Bill Belichick.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then Hyde and Poyer got asked about how embarrassing it was.
And then they come back 5 weeks later, whatever it was, and
That-
embarrass Belichick. Well, he's done his own job with that.
Yeah,
But
at
on
that
the
point,
football field,
yeah.
embarrass him as bad as he's ever been embarrassed.
Yeah, that was a masterpiece by Dable in that one.
Yeah.
And it's always funny because now when they're like, our job is to score every single time we get the ball, we know that's not realistic. And then
Oh,
Josh will always smirk and be like, most of the time.
Yeah.
Like,
And by the way, in that game,
he's never even done that against Miami.
I don't know
And
what these
and he owns Miami.
I don't know what the separation numbers were, but man, guys were getting open behind the Patriots, in front of them. Beasley was making. I mean, it just was. Gabe was catching the ball. Like it was one of those days.
But do you remember? I think the play that started it all.
Like a Hyde.
Hyde's interception.
Unbelievable play.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
All right. Well, talking a little bit about the stadium and stuff.
Do you want to talk about our friend Matt Bove?
Yeah, Matt Bove, KBW in Buffalo. A lot of you probably know him, friend of the pod.
Yep.
Mhm.
Doing a really cool, extensive research into the old stadium, whatever you want to call it, Rich Stadium and
Highmark.
the Ralph and
Yeah, the
Highmark
Highmark,
and
yes.
all of those things. And
New era.
yeah, and,
Yeah,
and
I
going
forgot about
in
that.
depth about the history of it, the people that it's meant so much to them, yourself probably included. He's put them also out on YouTube. It's every Thursday, every Tuesday it's coming
I
think
think it is.
I think it's
that's
every
what he said.
Tuesday. Yeah.
They even got some old guys like Sal Marirana and Mike Catalana.
Oh, that guy never shuts up.
Never.
Never.
By the way, when you see me in there, big old Buffalo Plus behind
Yeah,
me.
We
well
love
done.
We're
it.
gonna brand it.
Well-
We
well
branded
done.
that.
We love it.
That was a lot of fun talking. I mean, I've been to a lot of games in that building.
I've seen some shit.
Seen some shit and seen some awesome stuff.
That's so cool. I mean, I think it's going to be a little bit surreal, not surreal, but like having it be the last season at Highmark and like what that will feel like. I mean, I've never been in a stadium like that where it's like, all right, this is the final year before we open the new building.
Yeah, it depends on. I know this sounds funny. It depends on how it ends. Ideally,
That's fair. No, I could see
ideally
that.
it ends with they're going to the Super Bowl. They win a game. Maybe they're the 1 seed. They got 2 games at home. They win. They go, which would be awesome.
It'd be incredible.
Yeah.
Michael Hoyt talked about it, the history, and he's like, it's great. You know, we see all these things. It even goes back to the newer players. You know, Joey Bosa was talking. Nope. Yeah, Joey Bosa was talking about like you could be immortalized. And again, especially to be the last year of the stadium. And Michael Hoyt kind of laughed and said, like, there's a lot of buzz in this city. You know, they're getting a new stadium. He's like, and we'll just burn the other one to the ground. And it's like, don't joke about that.
Yeah.
And it is, Jenna, to your point, it does feel kind of surreal because as long as we've been covering the team, you know, I grew up in Rochester. So like there was always the thought of like, they need a new stadium. They're going to go to Toronto. They're going to need a new stadium, the owner, all of these things. And to then break ground on the stadium after all of the negotiations, figuring out a location, dome or not, all of this stuff. And then you're like, okay. And it felt like it'd be like a decade until we were in the stadium.
Yeah.
And then you drive by there once, you leave for the
Oh.
city.
You see all the cranes.
You
Cranes.
see so many
Dan-
cranes.
Dan loves cranes.
And then all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, like this is it.
Yeah.
And again, I'll say this. Love Highmark Stadium for some things. It is comical the hoops that they have to jump through at times for fans, players, getting equipment on and off the field. It seems like so it's beyond outdated to then go to a newer stadium and like when we traveled all the games.
Well,
It's
yeah.
comical how long this stadium has lasted because of it's just ancient.
Yeah, like the one tunnel thing. I'm
Mm.
excited for Buffalo to have a state-of-the-art stadium.
Ugh.
Yes.
Considering for a lot of opposing teams and a lot of opposing team members and stuff like that, it is, you know, it's kind of looked at as like pitiful Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I hate that. And I'm excited to see what the new stadium will look like.
When you're at night, whatever you do, if you say a little prayers, say a little prayer that this year goes with no issues in that tunnel. It's always been a
Oh,
worry
yeah,
of
it's
mine.
really scary.
And Jenna's referring this. A lot of people think we're just talking about both teams coming off the field at the same time. Yeah, on occasion you see some yelling back and forth and whatever because they exit. Oh no, we're talking about the ambulances, the equipment trucks, security. Like everything goes through one tunnel and it goes straight to the field. All the other stadiums, all the newer ones, are built with a tunnel infrastructure all the way around the building. Some of them have parking all
Yeah, it's
inside,
pretty cool.
Yeah.
like crazy big. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to see in the new stadium that way, but you're right. Sometimes when I'm there, I'm almost like when the San Francisco people were there, they haven't been there in a long time last year. Like people weren't expecting some of it. And I was telling one of the reporters, just be careful in here. It was cold. It was wet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just be careful because you never know what's coming behind you. You just need to get through this year and have
Yeah.
everything be good.
The sidelines are tight, just everything. It in the feel also. I know they modeled it after the Tottenham Stadium.
Yeah.
It does have a European soccer stadium look to it.
It's
Yeah.
sexy.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a sexy building.
Yeah.
So it is exciting to kind of move on to that. So we kind of wanted to take it over this off season, take some time to think about some of the best moments in Orchard Park, whether under the nuance of names, pretty much well known as the Ralph.
The Ralph works. By the way, the new place subtitle is The House That Josh Built.
It's so fun now.
Because that
Phenomenal.
place,
I almost had a stroke there.
that
Oh,
place,
gosh.
I think it would have been difficult to get that place built without 17.
1,000%.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, credit, to the state of New York
Whenever anyone says credit to, I always laugh now.
and the Pagulas and the state and all of you taxpayers.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money goes into this, but hey, the people in Western New York deserve a nice stadium. The government wastes a lot of money, and I'm sure NFL owners could afford to build their own, but they got a little leverage. They use it, but this place is built and this team's not going anywhere.
Favorite Ralph memory?
I was thinking about games that I've been on the sidelines for,
Mm-hmm.
and trying not to be.
Oh, sorry. That scared me.
That was a flash flood warning that we all got on our phones. So you probably got that at a different time as to when we were recording this. But I was trying, you're asking about like my favorite moment. I was trying to think of like games that I was on the field for, and not trying to just pick like the most recent one. Like cool little moments is like, to me, was Josh and Sean doing the Snow Angels.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's just like one of those
That was
moments.
49ers game, right?
The 49ers game when they won the division again. Like it was those kind of little moments. And I wasn't even there. I was watched that game in the hospital because Taylor was just born. So like, and I think about to me, the one that really, and again, we weren't
He
even
took
there.
time off to have a baby.
Yeah.
It's
Crazy.
Yeah.
I would never.
Was the Taron Johnson,
The pick six.
the pick six against Baltimore.
Yeah.
And it's funny in the sense of that was during the COVID year and there was only 7,500 people, but there'll probably be like 70,000 people that said they were there. And just watching that game and Al Michaels on the call, all of that, as this was a team that was starting to ascend and to start to be a real Super Bowl contender. Like that to me was one of those games and one of those moments that you can specifically pick out the game. Josh was like average in that game, but it was that play that you were like, holy cow, the roar of that crowd that was limited was just insane.
They were loud. I was thinking, I'm not going to give you guys one, but you were both down on the field for the snow game, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's when Dan and I worked at competing stations.
Yeah.
That's probably
That one was awesome. That was against the Colts.
Yeah.
LaShawn McCoy walk-off touchdown that kept the Bills in the playoff
Ran
hunt.
right to you.
Ran right.
I don't know what Dan's shot was because he worked for
That's
that other
terrible.
place. Yours was outstanding.
I was behind. I was behind the play. Jenna got McCoy running right to him.
I literally at one point was like, "Oh my! I think he's gonna run me
Leave me
over."
hanging.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Crushed
I
him.
remember
Crushed
it was snowing so hard. Dan and I obviously have always been friends. We walk out of the tunnel. The snow is like impenetrable by how much it's falling down. And Dan was so mad. He's like, I'm not going to be able to work. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to work.
You couldn't see across the field to like get shots. And I was like, this stinks. And Jenna's like, yeah, I'm just going to put the camera down. Like, I'm just going to enjoy this.
Awesome.
It was, I'll never forget that game in the sense of it was Peterman versus
I don't know.
Colts quarterback that wasn't good. And I had bet the under.
Wasn't what's his name that played for the Patriots?
Brissett
Yeah.
may have been.
But I thought it was Joe. What's it?
Joe Webb came in because
Yes.
Peterman got concussed in that game.
Oh,
Right.
that's right.
Kelvin Benjamin caught a touchdown. early in that game. I think that was his first one with the Bills.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
and then Jenna ended his career.
No, that was before
but I
that.
just remember the funny thing is I remember it was like these two quarterbacks. Bills were struggling at the time. The season was kind of going south, and I remember the under was like 36.
Of course, he remembers
Oh
the
my
bet.
God.
And I remember telling my friend, like, we're going to bet the under. And he's like, that's crazy low. And then I remember placing the bet, walking out to the field for warmups, and it was fine. Like, there was
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
snow, anything. Like,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
and then we walked out of the tunnel, like, to get ready for like the national anthem. And I turned around, went back in, placed more money on the under because I was like, this is comical what this is right now. And the under hit.
yeah.
So that's what I remember about that game.
I
Yeah.
want people to comment in their favorite memories too.
Yeah.
I always love that. But yeah, we were there for the snow game. All right, my favorite memory, and this was a couple years ago now, but Naheem Hines kickoff return touchdown.
Fantastic.
First play after DeMar Hamlin obviously had this episode on the field. And I just remember being in the stadium before that game. There was a lot of just nervous energy. It was
Yeah.
the first time the Bills were going to take the field after everything that happened in Cincinnati. I think there was just a little bit of anxiety of how would it go? How would it feel? What would it look like to be playing football again? And then to have Naheem Hines run it all the way back. The energy and just like the explosion of celebrations. And there were some fans like crying. I think just everything emotionally that the team, that the fan base had been through. And obviously knowing that DeMar was going to be okay. Just like the emotion of that was just, I mean, it's unforgettable. It was,
And then he did it again.
and then he did it again. But it was just like that first moment of like,
Yeah.
wow, everything. It was like, okay, everything's going to be okay. And for it to be the first play after,
I know.
it was incredible.
And also the fact of you were on the field, I was back at the station. So you don't get to see everything when you're on the field. It's cool to be in that atmosphere. But I just remember like watching it back here and to get to see the different camera angles of Josh, of the players.
Yeah.
And Josh just like putting his hands on his head, like, you've got to be kidding me. All of those things was really kind of cool to see because maybe you were too, like watching it on TV to get to see the perspective of everything was wild. And Nance with a phenomenal call.
Yeah.
Phenomenal call.
But like the bench's reaction, like the fans, it was just like, how could you not get chills?
Yeah.
I love sports.
I'm in the piece because Matt Bove asked about this specific thing.
Yeah.
So for me, it's 51-3. The game is known by the score. They beat the Raiders. It was snowing. The Raiders were a really good team, very talented. But they had Jay Schrader as a quarterback. He was okay. But I mean, Jim Kelly, James Lofton, everything the Bills did in that game went right. Jim fumbled a snap on a shotgun, picked it right up, found James Lofton for a touchdown. They had defensive touchdowns. It was 38-3 at half, something like that. I should know what it was.
And that was the AFC. That was 90.
To go to the first Super Bowl.
Because they had been to AFC championship games before in 88.
So they were in the AFC championship game against the Bengals 2 years before that.
88.
And then they came back.
Yeah.
That group came back that year. So it was their second AFC championship game.
But that one was at home.
It was the only, yes, this one was at home. It took them to their first Super Bowl. We have the comeback game.
Well, that's what I was also
craziness. All that was incredible for all those moments to remember. There was nothing like being down there on that field after 51-3. Who would have thought they were going to go to 3 more in a row?
Right.
Which is, obviously what they did. But that day was just so insane. And as people know, it's also the day the Gulf War started. So NBC
I did not know that.
Cutting away to,
wow.
Baghdad Bob or whatever they called that guy, and like bombs are going off and they're cutting away from the game.
Yeah.
And then it was 7 days later. It was 7 days later that we were at the Super Bowl and they were playing the Giants.
So I asked my dad for Father's Day. I was asking him, was talking about Bove doing this. And my dad's friends had season tickets. He grew up in Buffalo and things like that. And I was asking him like what games were you at and things like that. And hey, everybody talks about the comeback. And I think what gets lost in the comeback for even like my generation, our generation that's a little younger, like the comeback wasn't to go to the Super Bowl.
Oh no.
So like, I think that gets lost. I think that's why that Raiders game is so unbelievable, because my dad was at the game And he said, and you've always talked about it, and you were like, it was 3/4 of a party because you knew it was over.
Oh yeah.
So, and he goes, I was in the 300s. Yeah. Like it was unreal to be able to celebrate for an entire game,
Yeah.
knowing you were going to the
Super Bowl was crazy.
Wow.
The comeback game, late in that season, Jim Kelly got hurt because Frank Reich was playing in that game.
Correct.
And the Bills were expected to win the division and would have had a bye. But instead, they lost, and it ended up being a wild card game. And they were at home, but the game didn't sell out. And back then, if it didn't totally sell out, the game was blacked out. So it was blacked out. Yes, TV
A playoff game?
Yes.
That's
Back then was crazy
nuts.
rules. And it was really unfortunate
That's crazy.
for fans. Now, there were ways to get the games or places that had
you
satellite.
could stream it, right?
This was before DirecTV having the games, but you could go to bars and they had satellite dishes that they could pick up the broadcast so they could get it and people watched it. And there's a lot of people that absolutely walked out in that game. Walked out. It was 38-3.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
they came back to win. And that team obviously ended up going back to the Super Bowl later. But that first one for me, I mean, it just was, I remember thinking I'm going to get to cover a Super Bowl.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Other little cool moments that you just get to see, and Jenna, you probably have some as well, like Tyler Bass's 60-something yarder, and like you're on the
my
field.
God.
Like
Yeah.
there was another play after, but just filming the bench, just getting to see the reaction and to get to see like what felt like a monkey off of Tyler Bass's back.
Were
And
you
then-
on the field for that?
Yeah. And then it was like,
God, I
he's
thought I
celebrating
was.
but not only is he celebrating, but it's also the fact of McDermott coming up and giving him the hug. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
those kind of moments have really stood out to me as some of the ones that I think are the coolest. And a game that nobody probably remembers, but it was one of the ones that stuck out to me was 2019, week 3 at home against the Bengals.
Daboll on the field with Josh.
Daboll,
Big moment for those two.
Oh.
so they were ahead. Both teams, the Bengals were 0-2. Bills were 2-0 going into the game. Bills led 14-0 at halftime. Bengals scored 17 unanswered, took the lead with 5 minutes to go. Josh drove them down the field. Frank Gore scored a 1-yard touchdown run. And I just remember being on the field and Daboll like pounding Josh in the chest and being like, you did this. Like this was it. And that was the year that they went to the playoffs, obviously. And Josh started to become what they hoped he would be. And that was just one of those moments where you saw a coach and player, the father-son relationship, whatever their tight-knit bond was one of those moments, because I don't know if it was that game. Couldn't have been because I was on the field, but I remember one of the games where maybe it was the season before where Daboll's like screaming at Josh on the sideline.
Yeah.
And it's like, we can't do this and all of these things. And then to see when it works and to be like, see, like, listen, we can do this. And that was just a cool moment. Frank Gore, Brian Daboll, Josh Allen was just kind of a cool moment.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Josh has so many of them, but I thought, I think that Chiefs touchdown run
4th and 1
was one of the
Oh my
loudest
God.
I've ever heard.
I think
the
I was on
stadium.
the field for that.
You were on the field
It's
for that.
so funny. I feel like I can see it even if I
was
wasn't on,
So loud.
Yeah.
like through the
And
camera
it
lens.
built like, I think the fans were nervous. It was 4th down. They went for it. And then he starts to go. I think once you realize he's got the first down, I'm not going to say it was like relief, but it kind of was.
100%.
Yeah.
Then
Just kept going.
he just barreled into people. It was the quintessential Josh Allen run. I know everybody talks about the hurdles
Mhm.
and the one he did with the Cardinals when he hurt his hand. Like
Yeah.
that, don't do that one again. But that was incredible. And then the pitch
Yeah.
from Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Like
40
he really
against
had
the
some stuff.
49ers.
Yeah.
But Mike and I were packing up because there was 2 minutes left,
Yeah.
2-3 minutes left. And we knew we had to get down to the press room and it was 4th down and we're packing up and you're like, oh, he's got the first down. And we almost like went to sit back down and then he scored. We're like, let's just keep going. Like that was, again, to hear that volume from the press box is chilling. Like it is a really cool experience to feel that.
I mean, it was the Chiefs too. I mean, that was the thing that at home where they got them in that one. So we'll see if we have some more of that. We know we're going to have some more big moments, and then how it all plays out, getting ready for the next season when you go into the new place is going to be cool. A lot of great things coming for the franchise.
I can't wait to read other people's, like in the comments, what your favorite memory is and just how special you think that place is in terms of sentimentally what it means to you and what stands out as we look back on a final season at Highmark. So very cool.
Yeah.
Credit to me.
Credit's me.
You want to start, Michael?
Yeah, I got one. If you
Go
need,
ahead.
need a second. I'm real big into chainsaws. I'm real. Okay. Follow me on social
Cranes,
media. Yeah. No,
Chainsaws.
cranes is 1-1.
Planes.
Cranes are 1-1. Tunnels are second. Like they just
You're
blow-
just amazed by those things.
amazed. If I see a crane, I'm taking a picture. The logic doesn't
It's like
make
a
sense.
5-year-old.
And then tunnels. Like we drive to New York City all the time and in Jersey and all that stuff. I don't understand how a tunnel goes underwater.
I'll give you that. I have no idea. How do you do that? How do you build that? Also, you also love like how a plane flies. You
Yeah,
don't-
that's well, I give the credit to the do I give credit to the pilots? I can't remember what my thing is. Because like no, I give credit to the plane. Like whoever built it, like planes. Like it's nuts.
The Wright brothers,
Yeah, but they didn't build this.
they got it started.
Yeah. But they had like a rubber band and a propeller. Like these
And
guys
they jumped in that thing.
yeah, it's nuts.
that is
It's
more
wild,
nuts.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I know it's something about thrust for a plane. and
Sure.
how- yeah.
it's nuts. And cranes is 1-1, tunnels is 2. But I just recently I was gifted a chainsaw by my father-in-law, and my wife was like, "Hey, we got to get some yard work done." She had like a small like Christmas tree like thing that was like near our garage, and she'd always want to cut down. I was like, "Oh, one day I'll get the chainsaw going, and I'll take that down." Got it going yesterday. I cut down so much stuff in my yard, so much.
Elon Fates.
There's a massive pile in our front yard, hoping that the town of Fairport is supposed to pick up tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I could have stayed out there forever, just like cutting like firewood. Like some guy messaged me and was like, "This is what my front yard looked like after a hurricane hit Augusta, Georgia." And I was like,
Whoa.
I wish I could have been there.
Just go.
Oh my God.
Go help them.
That's all I want.
Drive down, you and the chainsaw.
Would you
Also-
ever use an axe?
No.
It's not that much of a man.
Yeah. But I felt like I meant also the chain popped off. I didn't know how to do it. Boom, fixed it. Chainsaw's running again.
Wow.
It was turned off when you did it. Right?
It was turned off.
Yeah.
Also, like I said, I tweeted out a bunch of responses. There's like a big chainsaw community on social media.
Really?
Yeah, like a bunch of people are in this. Bunch of people were pointing out safety tips, glasses,
Yes.
pants,
Yes.
Yes.
and boots.
You didn't know all this?
Wait, did you not?
I was wearing sandals
Oh my God, Dan.
and gym shorts.
Sir, what?
Yeah. I was like, oh, let's see if I can even get this chainsaw going. And as soon as I got it going, I was like, I have to cut something.
Oh my God. I can't believe you did
Yeah.
that.
So like we've taken steps. We're learning.
Okay.
Today I put on boots and jeans, so I at least knew. But honestly, I was the first thing that went through my head when I woke up this morning. Can't wait to cut some things down.
Wow.
Like I am into chainsaw culture.
Now,
It's a
Jenna,
chainsaw
you
cool.
guys have some stuff. Just invite Dan over.
Yeah,
Say, "Let's go
seriously.
break
We
the
don't have
chainsaw."
anything. No.
Yeah, like it's awesome.
It
Like,
is
it's-
something.
And like
Yeah.
I know people are like, oh, like we've trimmed our hedges with like the clippers.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take chainsaws to it.
Yeah.
Like I'm
We can
You're
have
gonna-
you do that. Yeah.
so in.
You might not want to use the chainsaw on the hedges. But you
I don't
can.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like
He's like,
hot knife through butter.
Wow.
They were
Very
like trees. I
proud
was
of
like, this tree can go.
gonna get you.
I was just walking. Renee's
like
like,
it's a brand new tree. It's
the
so
kids
great.
were playing outside. So I was like, hey, she was like, I'm going to go upstairs and give the kids a bath. I was like, I'll be right there. I'm just going to go pick up the kiddie pool, the splash pad, all of this stuff. And I was like, oh, see if the chainsaw starts. 20 minutes later, I come up. She's like, where were you? I was like, it's a lot of stuff. I did a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
And
make
it's-
sure everybody's out when you're doing this.
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
in the house.
Yes, out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I also thought like if something did go wrong, somebody could have been a little bit closer. But I'm gonna be from now on. I'm gonna be real safe. I'm gonna
Okay.
be real safe.
Okay.
I'm gonna get glasses,
All that stuff's important.
headphones. I'm gonna be like lumberjack Dan.
You have like, do you have any trees left in your backyard?
There's two. One I couldn't do. One. It's like the size of the house. So
That's okay. Yeah.
but there's one that's half the size of the house,
Have you ever seen those dudes that climb up the tree and cut
Yeah.
them down?
Yes.
and
That's
their
Somebody in my
wild.
neighborhood
and their
the other day
saws are
doing
like
that.
belted to them.
By the way, chainsaws are awesome. The guys who knock the stumps out with the big
Yeah.
saw, that thing is wild.
I don't think.
I-
What is that? I don't.
when they got to dig the stumps out
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
you cut down
Stump
the tree.
grinders.
Unbelievable. That thing
Yeah.
will just
oh,
it destroys everything.
That's
Like,
terrifying.
I remember
Yes,
when I
it
first
is.
got like our weed whacker, and I was like, "This is pretty sweet." And
Now
then
you've
I moved
to
up.
chainsaw.
But then we got like a leaf blower. It's really good to do the garage. It's
Yeah.
a really satisfying feeling to just blow everything out of the garage. I don't have a power washer. I feel like that's the next thing in like being a man, so I could just power wash everything.
Zach has a power washer.
Yeah.
But I am into chainsaws.
You're like hyped. I
Yeah.
can tell.
Yeah. And I wanted to save it to get like genuine reaction from you guys. Mike's like, how's it going today? And like, what's new? And I wanted to be like, chainsaws. It's just chainsaws. I just want to talk chainsaws.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right. Credit to me. I mean, you mentioned Zach. Fine. I guess he's got something to do with it. But I'm the real reason Jenna's getting married in a short period of time. Let's look at the facts here. I hired her. I brought her here. I did everything possible to keep her here. And then I introduced her to, of course, my hairstylist, Heather, who then introduced Jenna to Zach. And now here we are, a few years after that, and it's all come together. My master plan has worked. Well, actually, it was more Heather's. But we got you there. We're all looking forward to this so much. It's been a lot of buildup, but credit to me, I'm the one who did it. Zach did his part with the ring and all that stuff.
What are we going to talk about after this wedding? We're going to run out of a lot of content.
I don't.
Oh no, there might be some content from the wedding. We'll see how you do there, ordained minister.
Well, there's other people too that might.
I'm nervous.
You're nervous?
I need the first laugh. I need
Oh,
the
wait
first.
a minute. Are you doing a bit at the Chuckle Hut here? This is her wedding.
That's actually okay. That was going to be my credit to me, was to credit to you guys for your support and your love. And
You're welcome.
just say,
We're awesome.
Mike was a part of introducing me to Zach. Dan was a part of me dating to Zach. 'Cause Zach and I's first date, I was like, I don't know. And Dan was like, he's a great guy. And
Went to high school with him.
Yeah. I was like,
His
okay.
dad coached me at Little League.
Yeah. Oh, Jeff
Small
Arena.
world.
Yeah. So.
And I still don't know if Zach is spelled with a C.
It's with a K.
K.
But it's Zachary with an H.
Yes.
But it's
which is
K.
a little messy, but yeah.
You can just change that.
He could just be Zach, Z-A-C.
That's like
No, that's like weird though. If you've been Zach with a K your whole life or Zach with an H
what
your
if he
whole
just
life.
goes by Z?
Z.
Well, that's
I'm gonna start.
weirder.
I'm gonna slip that in the
We're
speech.
just gonna
No.
call him Z.
Yeah.
No.
Z
but
and
yeah.
J getting married.
Next week. So we're closing in.
A week from Saturday. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to thank you guys.
Oh, you're welcome. But it is all because of me.
Yeah.
And Heather. Shout out Heather.
Yes.
A phenomenal hairdresser. And
As you can tell.
I remember the first time I was like, I'm trying to find a place to like get a haircut. I got to get, like want to get a blowout, all this stuff. And Mike's like, oh, I got a woman. And I was like, I don't know about that. And then now like a decade later, and she introduced me to
she's the best.
future husband. All right, cool. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Chainsaws, weddings, all the good stuff. Oh yeah, and bills. Comment in your favorite memory from Highmark Stadium as we enter the final season there. And your take on Chris Sims's QB rankings.
Yeah.
Do you think that's fair, having Mahomes at 4? Do you think Josh should be number 1? What is your take on it? We want to hear from you all. And thank you so much again for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. That'll do it for us, Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I'm Jenna Cottrell. We will see you next time on the Buffalo Plus podcast presented by Connors and Ferris.